Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Namaste and welcome. My name's Keith. Thanks for tuning in. This is Therapeutic Tuesday, and this is a practice for sleep. I don't think there's any dispute when I say that we need sleep. But what kind of sleep do we need? We can lie down and we can be in bed for 10 hours, but if we haven't had real restful sleep, then we haven't restored our brain and we haven't refreshed our body. So that's the kind of sleep that we're aiming for. This practice will explore 8 shapes that are great for preparing you for sleep. I recommend doing them in the evening if you have problems sleeping, but you can also do them during the day, clearly like I'm doing them, to help settle your brain into a place that is more quiet. If you have a bolster, that would be a great prop to have. A block is also helpful. If you don't have either one of those, not a big deal. Make yourself comfortable and bring your hands up into your heart. Breathe in. Shri Krishna Govinda, Hare Murare, He Naatha, Narayana, Vasudeva, He Naatha, Narayana, Vasudeva, He Naatha, Narayana, Vasudeva. Shri Krishna Govinda, Hare Murare, He Naatha, Narayana, Vasudeva, He Naatha, Narayana, Vasudeva, He Naatha, Narayana, Vasudeva. Shri Krishna Govinda, Hare Murare, He Naatha, Narayana, Vasudeva. Beloved Krishna, you are the cowherder. You are the divine spark. You are the one who plays the flute Hey Lord, the one who rests on the waters, who is creation. You are goodness personified. Breathe in. Let your hands drop away. And we'll start with an alternate nostril breathing practice. I will not be mirroring you, so just listen to what I'm saying rather than looking at my hand. Take your right hand and make peace fingers. Let those two fingers come together so they form kind of one large finger. Turn that around and face it toward your face. And then take the pads of your index and middle finger right up into your brow. Let your thumb and your ring finger rest on either side of your nostrils. And then you can use your left hand down on your knee or up toward the sky, whichever feels most natural to you. Drop your chin just a tick so that there's length in the backside of your neck. Take a breath in through both nostrils. And then use your thumb to block your right nostril as you breathe out of the left side. Breathe all the way in through the left side. Block the left side and exhale out of the right. Breathe in through your right side. Pause and feel both nostrils blocked for a moment. And then exhale out of the left. Continue like that, breathing in on the left, pausing so that you can close both nostrils at the top of your inhale, and then exhale out of the right. Breathe in through the right, close off both nostrils, and then exhale out of the left. As you do this, continuing to breathe side to side, let it be like the ebb and flow of ocean, calming waters, the surf meeting the sand, washing back and forth across the hemispheres of your brain, clearing the way for quiet. These rounds of nadi shodhana, or alternate nostril breathing, finish when you breathe out of your left nostril. So let 2 more rounds happen here. Letting yourself pause when you're full. Remembering the length up the backside of your neck so that your posture still feels alert in this moment. And then when you get to the end of your final round, breathing out of your left nostril the last time, simply release your hand down to your knee. And you can let your eyes drop to the floor, or you can let your eyes close completely, and just savor in the sensation of the breath moving back and forth. You can imagine that this breath gives you a point of focus somewhere at the center of your forehead, away from your thoughts. And because it puts the emphasis on slow and controlled breathing, it will calm your nervous system. Give yourself one more breath here. And then exhale everything out. Begin to shift your way down onto your back. When you get down here, start with the soles of your feet flat to the floor. Just to feel the shape of your spine. It's always a good landing spot when you first start a practice, just to get down on the mat and see what you're feeling, to see what your body is experiencing, especially your spine. And then from there, begin to pick up your 2 feet And start by holding your knees, just to let your low back adjust and settle. And then you can begin to rearrange so that you hold on to the pinky edges of your feet, coming into happy baby. And at first, give yourself a lot of permission just to move around. Massage your back. Let your head fall left and right. But then eventually, settle into the middle and notice where there's any tension. So if there's tension in your jaw, in your expression, in your toes, or in your fingers, try to let that go. And then let your breath get deep to your belly. So if it was stopping at your chest, see if you can invite your breath to go all the way down into your belly. And without adding any extra force or pulling, every time you breathe out, allow your body to get heavier. So if you're trying to make your low back longer or trying to send your tailbone or your pelvis completely 100% into the floor, let go of some of that action and notice how your mid-back will get heavier. And it starts to feel like you have a heavy blanket resting on your body. Go back to moving your head a little bit. Never feel as though you have to be stuck, frozen. It really is a suspension so that you can feel how you got here and how your body will also get out of it. You're still in the action, but the action is just slowed to the point of seeming like it's still. Part of this shape has the effect, of course, on your hips of releasing some room into your hips. But there's an action at your belly here too, because you've brought your thighs all the way into your body. Your organs around your belly, around your abdomen, get just a little bit of pressure applied to them that encourages a downward flow, a downward energy, so that any last little digesting, any last little settling of whatever you ate last can happen, so that as your belly quiets after a shape like this, your brain can continue to quiet from that. Because when the belly is quiet, and when the organs in your belly are quiet, then your nerves can send that quiet all the way back up to your brain. Especially big cranial nerve number 10, your vagus nerve. Settle in here for just another moment. And then slowly begin to release. You can let your feet come close to each other first. Take hold of your knees. Move your thighs in space a little bit. And then settle your feet to the ground. Let go of everything. And then exit by rolling over to your side to come up to sit. If you have a bolster, now's the time to grab it. Once you have your bolster, start off by sitting on your heels. And this part will be a little bit challenging perhaps, but we won't stay here long. Once you're here, open your knees up wide. And for me, that means about as wide as my mat. And I do that so that I can draw the bolster back in between my thighs. So it really fits into the space there. When I begin to move forward, I want to keep some of this relationship to my hips on my heels. Move your tailbone back, make room for your pubis to move into that space so that your belly can hit the bolster first. And of course, you could have more bolsters and more blankets in this space if that's best. Your ribs come down, then your chest. You can release your elbows. And then as you're letting your head go, turn to one side. Really let your elbows feel heavy so that your shoulders can feel heavy. And then breathe in to your full point, but notice that you meet the bolster, that there's a resistance there. That resistance, when you're breathing in, creates a calm. If you were doing this by lying on your back, and you had something on your belly creating resistance, it would definitely aid in relaxing your mind. It's a bit like having a cat on your chest or on your belly. Notice any desire to push or to stretch. And just let yourself settle and sink. It's a mostly passive experience. You just want to be supported. You want your rest to be uncomplicated. Because when rest becomes complicated, it certainly is not restful. If you like, and you've been on one cheek for a long time, you can turn your head to the other side. If you're happy wherever you are, stay there. Whenever your tongue starts to press against the roof of your mouth, soften it away. That might mean separating your teeth or separating your upper and lower lip. so we can spend a bit more time here. You always have permission to come out sooner than the instruction. But see if you can stay for another moment or two. And then begin to center out your head. Walk your hands a little bit closer to your knees. And then press the ground away to ease yourself up. And pause here. Keep your bolster here if you've got it, or you could use a block or a folded blanket if that works better for you. And come onto all fours. And the bolster is going to remain right where it is. Climb your left knee up onto whatever you've got there. And then step your right foot into a lunge. And it's a wider step. So allow yourself to turn out some at your toes. Keep your back toes curled under. And it might be that you hang out here with long arms the whole time, letting this lizard have its full arm reach. Or along the way, you might let your elbows come into more of a bend. The biggest thing here, the most important thing here is how you breathe. Because it's a more intense shape, your breathing needs to stay full. And that full breathing is beneficial to calming your mind, quieting your brain, muting your thoughts. If you do come down to your elbows, watch out for leaning to your left. It'll be very tempting to put more focus on your left hip, and it will get a little bit heavier than your right, but see if you can avoid listing over to the side and putting all of your weight into your left hip. You can begin to drop your head and let it get heavy toward your hands. Just like when you were in Happy Baby, no need to feel as though you're in a forceful place or a stuck, aggressive place. You can feel the movement in it. Even though you're not moving around, you can feel the subtle rearranging of the atoms in your body every time you breathe. If you're down on your elbows, explore some breathing across your upper back. So if you add a little bit more press to your elbows when you breathe in, you can separate your shoulder blades a little bit. And then allow yourself to release that as you exhale. It takes some of the intensity away from your hip. And it takes your breath and moves it through your entire body. So it feels very much like the way a cat breathes. A full body experience. Just 3 more breaths here. If you're down on your elbows, start to walk up onto your palms. Lengthen your elbows. Keep your back toes curled. Pull your belly up to your spine as you begin to lengthen through your right leg. Using that to shift, walk your hands onto the bolster. And then put your right knee onto the bolster here. Kind of center it out. When you're ready, step your left foot up to the front and wide. Remember, your back toes are curled. Test the waters as you sink in. And turn your toes out. Even stretch open through your chest and go a little side to side through your hips. And then you decide if this is the best place for you to be, or if you'd like to bring your elbows down. Maybe one elbow for a little while, and the other one can join it. And drop your head. Press into your back toes a little bit so you feel some firmness in your back leg. And then let your whole leg feel like it can get heavy toward the bolster. Even though it's your knee that is the starting point of connecting to the bolster, as you get here, the point of the bolster is that you can feel your thigh, hopefully, against the bolster as well. It's nicer on the knee to not have it on the ground for sure. And having some support underneath a lot of your leg changes the experience, I think, in your hip. If you experimented with breathing across your back, you can add that in anytime you want. Still watching out for dropping your weight over to your right here. If ever there's discomfort in your front knee, remember a little turnout in your toes helps with that. Especially the medial side of your knee, that inner surface. If you turn out a little bit, you're less likely to feel twinges of discomfort there. Give yourself a couple more moments here. This is definitely the most intense shape of the practice. Although one person's intensity is another person's chill out, right? And then as you're ready to move out of it, hands walking in. Pull your belly up into your spine, spread your upper back, shift your weight. And then you can bring your left knee back to the bolster and just walk in place on your knees here. Walk your hands back on the bolster. Pause. And then use your curled under toes to begin to lengthen your legs. And right where you are, you can flip the bolster onto its edge. So you'll notice that I have the bolster on this edge and that I haven't come up to stand. That's on purpose. The bolster can act as a touch point for your head in a forward bend. So as I come forward, my head can come to touch the bolster and my hands can touch the ground. And that's one option of where you can be. If touching the ground with your hands feels like too much, then you put your hands onto the bolster and let your head touch your hands. But if your hamstrings are willing, bring the bolster to the front of your shins. Lay your arms on the bolster across the front, kind of clamping the bolster to your legs, and then let your head come to touch the front of the bolster. When you do that, you'll feel more weight in your feet, the front side of your foot, rather than only feeling everything that's happening down the back of your legs. You might also notice that your head feels like it can get heavier, and when it does, there's a lot of blood moving to your brain. All that blood moving to your skull also means that there's a lot of blood collecting in your neck, that there's some pressure building in your neck around the baroreceptors. When pressure builds there, over time there's a release that naturally happens, and it leads to a calming effect through your nervous system. Give your lips a flutter. And let go of some of the work in your arms. And then release your head from the bolster. Soften your knees. Lay the bolster flat. And work your way down onto your knees. Have a seat on your heels for a breath. Let the blood flow change. So now it'll be the block and the bolster. The bolster is going to lay down on your mat. Pull it toward the back end. And then the block's going to be toward the front end of your mat, and it's for your feet. This will be a supported bridge shape. The block will act as a heel rest. The bolster will go under your back, and your shoulders and head will come to the floor. Start to recline back on the bolster. Ease your way down so you can get to the ground without moving too far away from it. Shimmy through your shoulders. And you can feel where the block is with your feet and adjust it a little bit. And then your heels can come up on top. And then once your heels are on top, give your feet a flex. And just move through your pelvis. You want to make sure that your low back feels long so that you're easy there. And then cactus your arms open. Your chin naturally comes closer to your chest here, but make sure that you don't overdo it. If cactus arms don't feel good, then make sure that you adjust your arms a little bit lower down by your sides. If you're feeling anything in your low back, you can bring one knee up into a deep bend, and that lengthens your back. And then do that on the other side, draw up. Your feet might want to flop apart, so if you can drop your big toes together, or at least get them close to each other, so that your legs stay more neutral. And here, imagine that your skull is getting heavier into the ground, and at the same time, your brain can start to pool into that heaviness of your skull. So the whole front of your skull feels spacious, quiet, like when you're the only one at home. Take natural breaths without trying to fill up your belly. Because you're in this little heart opening, if you try to breathe too big into your belly, it starts to feel forced. It starts to feel uncomfortable. If you don't have a block, of course, you could do this with just the bolster. And let your legs stretch out. They'll naturally want to go wider when there's nothing for your heels to rest on. But you can play around with the placement. If you only have a block, you could take it more into a supported bridge with the block underneath your sacrum. The main thing is that you feel heavy across your head and open across your heart. Spend a few more moments here. This is one you could probably spend a lot of time in. You might even fall asleep here. As you start to move out of it, set one foot down and then the other. And then you can roll to your side and you'll tumble off of the props, coming onto your hip before you come up to sit. Once you're up to sit, bring the soles of your feet together. And then your bolster is going to come in to the diamond. And you can set it up so it's a wedge up on its side. And again, it's going to be a resting point, just like when you were in your standing forward bend, for your head to come to rest. It's nice if it comes forward a little bit so it's more about your head coming down. But if folding forward is challenging in your spine, you can bring the bolster close into your body. Walk your arms out all the way so that you take the front edge of it, and then bring your head down either directly to the bolster or use your hands to rest your head on the bolster. So this might be your starting place. And then over time, the bolster can move out a little bit. So you have more of a hinge at your hips. As you come forward, watch out for rounding into the fold. Watch out for pressing your tongue against the roof of your mouth. As you get a little bit deeper, you can flatten the bolster, take it across your feet, stack your forearms on top of it, and then rest your head on your forearms. Feels a little bit like resting your head on your desk to take a mini nap. Or what I see some people do on airplanes when they want to sleep, and they put their head down on their meal tray. At some point, if you like, you can let your head come one notch heavier to the bolster. Enjoy the space across your upper back. And then when you're ready to come up, press into the floor, press into the bolster. Keep the bolster as you stretch your legs out long. Lay the bolster on top of your legs unless you've got really angry, ornery hamstrings. Right? If your hamstrings tend to be less than cooperative, put the bolster underneath your legs instead. Otherwise, it's going to go across your legs and on your shins rather than on your knees or on your thighs. So that when I come forward, going into a hinge, again, where I can place my forearms on top of the bolster and let my head come to rest. Or if my hamstrings and my back are willing, I can let my arms go underneath the bolster so they just rest on the floor. And then bring my head to the bolster, just my forehead, somewhere around your hairline. The nice thing about your arms being under the bolster when you're in a deep fold rather than on top is it gives your shoulder space. It can be nice to have your arms up on top here. Your hands can touch your feet, but right away your shoulders will be a little bit closer to your ears. So if If you're going to let your arms drop someplace, let them drop underneath the bolster. Couple times, breathe out of your open mouth. And then ease yourself up to sit. And set up for Shavasana, for rest. So if your bolster was on top of your legs, move it so it can go underneath your legs. Rest your heels on the ground, and you can even hold on to the bolster as you start to recline back. Adjust as you go, so you keep the heaviness into your heels. Sink your body heavy.
Om Jaya Jagadīśa Hare Svāmī Jaya Jagadīśa Hare Bhakta janon saṅkaṭa Dāsa janon saṅkaṭa Kṣaṇa dūra karē Om Jaya Jagadīśa Hare Om Jaya Jagadīśa Hare Svāmī Jaya Jagadīśa Hare Bhakta janon saṅkaṭa Dāsa janon saṅkaṭa Kṣaṇa dūra karē Om Jaya Jagadīśa Hare Om Jaya Jagadīśa Hare Svāmī Jaya Jagadīśa Hare Bhakta janon saṅkaṭa Dāsa janon saṅkaṭa Kṣaṇa dūra karē Om Jaya Jagadīśa Hare Hare Om Jaya Jagadīśa Hare 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 Hare
Start to deepen your breath. Move your ankles, move your wrists. Move your head side to side. Step your feet up onto the bolster. And then roll to your side on your way up to sit. Bring your hands together. We are one life, we are one light, and we are one love. I bow, as always, with gratitude to the divine light that we share. Peace be with you and blessings upon you. Thanks for tuning in. See you again next time.